Hello, welcome to another Alpha Strike We Play video. How are you, Tarron?
I'm good, buddy. How the hell are you?
I'm very good. I know you're good because we're going to talk about
Mythos, the Wyldeborne.
Wyldeborne. So this is the box that you get, and there's the thing on the back there. But these are the models painted up here. So
yes. And an awesome job you did, dude.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, yeah. They're very cool looking.
My sort of thing was to pick like a couple of colours and just sort of theme it around that. So green, because foresty, they're foresty guys, and blood magic. So a bit of brown and green. It works quite well.
Turned out really well.
Yeah.
Anywho.
So let's talk about the Wyldeborne. So why did you pick the Wyldeborne? It's pretty obvious, really, isn't it?
Came over. Yeah. No, I just like that kind of the foresty sort of wild, to give it a word, look of the minis that were on there. I mean the crab guys in that other one, they look really cool, yeah, and that sort of thing. But I get kind of a little intrigued by different styles of minis. You get lots of factions where you get the generic dude or chick, and that's your faction. So you get a dude with armor and a lady with armor, and you get, a dog or something like that, and they're cool. But I kind of like having weird stuff. So yeah, when I saw the what's her name again, Dorothy or whichever one it is with the snake.
Yep. Yeah, Dorothy Good and Blood. Blood being the snake.
The snake, yeah, and the other big snake and the big goat werewolf looking dude. It was like, I gotta be these.
So,
and I had no idea of the mechanics at that point, I want to point out. So
you just look at the miniatures and go, they look cool.
And I recommend that as a way to pick a faction. Is you look at the minis and the type of thing that you're looking at, like the way the faction looks, and you go, something in that says yes to me, I'm going to play those, and then you work your way around the mechanics.
Yeah, okay. I suppose that's one way of doing it. They do have like 8 different factions for this, so there's
so you can always pick 2 or 3.
Anyway, it doesn't really matter. So, you don't get the cards for the characters and that in the box.
No, it's just the models, right?
It's just the models.
Yeah.
You can download those from their website. So that's what we've actually done here. I've printed them out to be quite large, so it's good for the video, but it's good on the table as well. So
good for
your opponent
with the.
You can't see as well. So
yeah,
that's
we make them this big, and it's like
printed those out and just laminated them up. So
you can make little notes and things on them. I think that's a good way of doing stuff.
So let's have a look at each of them. So we'll start with Dorothy. There's sisters in the story. So Mercy Good and Dorothy Good. So Dorothy Good and Blood, which is here.
Yep. The lady with the snake.
Yeah, I'd say that's the leader essentially. Starts with the leader.
Yeah, so they have a leader trait that gives you extra action points.
Yeah. And
you can only have one leader in a given faction at a time. But it looks like a lot of the factions also have a backup leader.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So Dorothy Good and Blood are the ones that start with leader, and you're spending, 23 points?
Yeah. 23
points out of your faction's allowance to get her and the snake.
Each of the box sets are about 100 points. I think they balance out 100 points. So you buy a box, it's 100 points, that's what you go with. So if you want to play a smaller battle, you can.
Well, you could just have model on model if you wanted to.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Being objective based, it's probably
difficult to do,
but for a fun smash up, I suppose you could. But.
And it was very objective based game, so having a variety of different units that can do different things is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, she is the leader. I haven't actually read her story yet. I haven't read the story yet. I didn't get around to that. But she played really, really well, if I remember correctly. We've only had one game. But she played really, really well.
Especially if you use Nadragil, which is the one off, just the snake there. So it's basically a familiar. It's got the keyword familiar.
Yeah.
And Dorothy Good can basically channel her spells through that snake, so get extra range and things like that, which is really nice.
And it's
really nice.
there's another thing that it does with the blood magic thing. Is they have access to blood magic, which means they can suffer wounds to get extra attack, basically. So you cut yourself up and do the thing. But
It's very
if
Mythos-like.
it is,
Fits well.
if Nadrigel's within range of someone with that blood magic, he can take the wounds instead. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, so he can take 2 wounds instead of the actual unit taking 1, and that can save your leader from dying.
Yeah, that's right.
Or give them the ability to pop out extra spells or extra super duper spells rather than wounding themselves. Just wound a familiar, and it doesn't really matter if he dies.
And Nadrigel's good too because I can actually absorb some magic. It's got some extra magic resistance, things like that. And when you're in combat with it, it uses, I think it was a coil or constrictor.
Constrictor, yeah.
So it reduces your combat capability as well. So like quite.
Yeah, he's pretty full on.
We're not talking like a little crappy little mouse as you're familiar or something like that. It's a big snake and it kicks butt.
Yeah, he's almost as big as the one that she's got with her. It's like there's like a pair of them. But yeah, he's technically unique, so you can't have. Well, I think a lot of them count as unique, don't they?
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all,
Yeah. But they play really, really well as a group.
As a group, they do, yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
thought they worked really well.
Her sister, Mercy Good's quite good as well. She's got some really
she's
cool
full on.
abilities. So she's the only one on the smallest base in the group, so the standard 30 mil.
Yeah.
So she can sort of use the
So
others
this is
to
her.
cover and things like that, which is really handy to block one sight and whatnot.
Yeah, because you can get cover from another model. So she can hide behind people and do things.
Yeah.
But she's also got a lot of, what would you call her, a combat wombat sort of?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has some really solid physical attack abilities. She can go nuts and do multiple attacks. She can bump up her own attack. She can do all sorts of other stuff.
I think it was critical hits as well were...
Yeah, so the
11s
ability is
and
called
12s.
Are You Red Inside? And she hits, normally a critical hit is a 12, but she's allowed to get critical hits on 11s or 12s, so she gets them slightly more often.
So if you get her in a charge where you're rolling 3 dice instead of 2...
It's a lot easier to do.
a lot easier,
Yeah.
which is really, really, really good.
Yeah, it's
So-
full on. And the charge thing with these guys was pretty good because I think I ended up having quite a bit more movement than you in our battle.
Yeah,
Which was really cool.
So I play the Path of Chronozon faction, which is pretty much just like your humans. So they have average
just a
speed
human
and all that.
cultist
So,
type
yeah,
thing.
human cultist. So whereas you've got these really big snakes and Lauren, which is like a
She was the one that I
centaur or
was
something.
thinking of
She's
when
got
I mentioned
movement 7.
the movement.
Yeah,
is,
she's really, really, really fast and causes fear and
and she's kind of a full-on combat unit as well, like physical combat unit.
oh, definitely.
Yeah.
She's
got a lot of extra bits and pieces on her combat. And she, like, I think I wasn't using them completely effectively because it was our first game.
Oh, one game, yeah. That's
You know,
fine.
one game. But sometimes you can look at at units at a faction and stuff like that, and you've picked it and you're happy with it. But when you're playing them, you can kind of pick up on how they do things, if you see what I mean. How the rules for each one sort of mesh, and they go. And she is seriously cool. I like her.
Yeah, I think with her, you sort of leave her back a little bit until someone's locked in combat. And then she can come in and really sort of finish them off.
Yeah.
You know, she's got that range, she's got the speed.
Yeah.
So she can do it.
She's got the big speed, so if you see an enemy on its own, she can charge a long way with a move of 7. What was the charge thing again? It was a move plus...
Well, you've got a separate charge, so charge
Oh, yeah,
9.
charge is
so,
9.
Yeah, charge is 9, so she's a little bit faster. But considering I only play on a 3x3 board, 2 inches can actually be a lot of distance.
Well, that's 9 inches on a 3x3 board is not an insubstantial amount.
Yeah, that's right.
I think all the others have a charge of 7, except for the big goat man.
Yeah, let's talk about Cernos, actually. So right here. So the biggest model that you've got there in the faction, very, very cool.
And he
really
kind of drew me in because he looked mildly werewolf-like on the back there. I don't know if you can see that properly. If it doesn't show up, Pillar will put a thing up.
Or something.
But he looks mildly werewolf-like, so he was part of the reason that I did these guys. And yeah, he's mad. He's fallen mad.
So he and Lauren have the myth keyword. So when they check on the madness table and things like that, they use their side to do it. Slightly different results and whatever else.
Yeah.
But he hits really hard as well.
Yep.
really, really hard.
Really hard. And he's got the so this flailing death thing reminds me of the Wrath of King's wolves, the shield guys, the big guys, the steam tank wolves.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They had that one where they have a howl. So if you start your activation and everyone in range 1 has to make a check, you check against them. This is a similar sort of thing. So models in base contact with this model at the end of their activation have to pass a close combat defense test or suffer 3 wounds.
Yeah.
So that's insane. That is seriously insane. If you run in and try to kill him and you don't manage it and your CD, your combat defense, isn't terribly good or you have a bad roll, you can end up in serious trouble.
Yeah.
3 wounds is quite a bit.
So the longer he stays in the game, the more likely he is to start hurting you just by being there.
Just by standing there and letting you hit him, he's doing damage. It's really, really cool.
And I found that when we played, I wanted to get lots of models around him to try and kill him off because he's so bad. But there's the risk as well. Like I was doing tests to try and avoid that damage.
It's either you pile on and you try and kill him really, 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 really quickly and you risk the 3 wounds, or you just avoid him. Yeah, and he can clear an area and start capturing objectives and stuff because everybody's just going, no, I don't want to get near him.
Yeah.
So
and with a charge of 9, if he decides that he wants you,
you're his.
It's going to be hard to keep away from him. So.
And he's got blood magic as well, so he can connect with Nadrigil to not take the wounds for the blood magic, and that lets him re-roll his dice in an attack.
How many wounds has he got?
24.
24.
I think that's my highest. Yes.
24.
So Dorothy, Good, and Blood have 20.
Okay.
Lauren's got 18, but yeah, Cernos has 24, which is kind of cool.
So we just played scenario 1 just to learn, which was basically just a bit of a stand-up fight. You didn't sort of hold objectives. Yeah. So depending on which scenario you play, obviously your strategies are going to change. Yeah. But
there were different. If I remember correctly, it was victory points depending on number of kills or something.
That's right. Yeah. First kill the leader, you get 1 PP for that. Things like that. So
kill a leader, first blood, and then points for deaths.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you've got fast-moving, hard-hitting combat units, then that sort of scenario is a good one.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
And you use Nadrigil really well.
Forward.
You kept the sisters back and used
his
for the
focus
magic
ability
and everything. Yeah, that's really good.
I mean, obviously my dice rolls are crappy, but I think the general tactic worked quite well.
Well, you won that game anyway.
I did, yeah.
so the tactic.
I wanted you to say it.
But I'll say it again. He won. I'll say it on camera. He won. It was very cool.
It was a good game. And that's what you're looking for, is your first game to be like a good game.
But I really like the feel of them. Like they're just very cool.
Yeah.
A lot of this on the back, so like we've talked about rules in some of the other videos and things like that. So they don't seem to, like the Cernos doesn't seem to lose any
very much abilities.
No.
Yeah.
So you've got enrage you lose and blood magic, but you gain severed connection.
Yeah, so you lose this God Shard.
Oh, God Shard as well.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So when you flip you most of them will either lose or change their main myth. That's the myth point thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you get your myth points at the beginning, and then you use these abilities you pay myth points to use these abilities. And I think most of them lose those when you're wounded.
Yeah, when you flip over.
And some of them are really like seriously good abilities. So that flipping over to your wounded side can be quite bad. But I mean, if you're not losing too much of your actual combat ability, sometimes it's not that bad.
So we've got, three? Cernos has 4 for the madness testing, for sanity, like your limit.
Oh, yeah.
Dorothy Good doesn't have a limit.
Which is cool.
On her ready side.
But what she does have is that markings of power. Yes, markings of power. So if this model spends 2 or more myth in a single activation, then you have to flip the card.
Yeah.
And that happens, if I remember correctly, that the temptation to use myth was quite high because it can let you do some really powerful things.
Yeah.
And she...
winning initiative, for
like
example.
winning initiative, for example,
next round,
which is insanely good. But she's got one that actually costs 2. And if she spends 2, she flips. So if you do this one ability, then you flip automatically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to weigh up the ability versus the fact that you're going to be on your wounded side and you're going to lose all of your myth abilities. So, I mean, it is a pretty good ability. All enemy models within 8 inches must pass a combat test or suffer bleed.
Yeah, okay. And considering you've got, so Cernos causes bleed on attacks, Nadrigil
has bleed. They all have bleed except for Dorothy.
Except for Dorothy, yeah. But that's okay.
But
she's got everything. Oh, she's fine.
If these guys are out there causing bleed and causing bleed and causing bleed, then those models are continuously losing wounds until the bleed goes away.
Yeah.
But if they then subsequently get another bleed, you lose two wounds automatically. 2 wounds automatically.
And if you're in combat, you can't get rid of like conditions.
Yeah.
You can't spend actions to do it. So
yeah, you have to be unengaged for that.
Yeah. And if you're fighting one-on-one with Cernos and you've got bleed, good luck.
Yep. Good luck indeed.
You probably won't survive.
Especially if you're one of the lower level people who only has like 14 wounds, 13 wounds.
Yeah. Yeah,
it can get nasty
Yeah.
very, very quickly. So sometimes that ability would be worth setting off. But you have to weigh that against the fact that if you do it, you will automatically flip to your wounded side.
Yeah. But you won't have to, unlike the others, when they reach their threshold and then you flip, they have to roll on the madness table. She doesn't.
Yeah.
That's what's so good about it. So yes, she does flip over, but she doesn't have to check on that table. She will after that.
Yeah, after that, if you
accumulate
accumulate
at the start of a round, you got to check on the table. So, because I actually played a game against Hutch. I played one game against Hutch.
Oh, cool! Who won?
I did, but I lost. I rolled like a 2 on the madness table.
Wow, that's bad.
I lost Chronoson. He was still going nuts, and then I rolled a 2. So he went, "Oh no, I'm leaving now." I'm like, damn it. But yeah,
sucked into the void.
Yeah, that
well
can
done.
happen. So that is the risk. So, and I do remember you saying in our game a couple of times that you just didn't. You wanted to do it. You just didn't want to flip because you healthy dose of paranoid in the game is it actually makes sense.
It's really good. It's really good. There's definitely that sort of feeling of I want to do this, but I don't want my guy to die, sort of thing. But it's more of a psychological horror thing. It's like I need this, but I want that.
Yeah.
But if this happens and you're going, oh.
Yeah. But because whoever spent the most mythos in the previous round or whatever it is, or has the least amount of mythos,
gets a bonus to
initiative. So it encourages, it's sort of enticing you to spend them to do things, and it's worth trying.
That was the one with the lowest gets a bonus to their initiative of the difference between the two.
Or something.
I think that was
it.
Go
back and have a look. You get a bonus.
You get a bonus.
It's,
so if you have very similar myth points, then just spending a butt ton of them in one turn can guarantee you the initiative the next turn. and then hopefully you haven't flipped everybody over, and you can start pummeling in the first section.
Yeah.
And you can't activate something that's dead. So if you can ram Cernos into somebody and just obliterate them, then yeah. And that, I think our game came down with me a few times to, you get that again, that Wrath of Kings thing where you are spending ages just trying to figure out which one to activate first.
Yeah.
Which one's going to give me the best advantage? Which one's going to be the best option for me to say, boom, you go first, and that will have the biggest impact on the game.
And that's the added challenge for having a skirmish game with low sort of model counts. They all have different abilities and they're really, really cool, but it's not like a squad of guys. So yes, I'm going to take this position and I only need one guy to hold it, but I've got like 10 dudes in the troop.
Yeah, so you have to work really hard to bring an entire squad down.
Yeah.
But a single model,
it's like risk it for a biscuit. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Nadrigil's ability even nearly didn't get used because he's only got 14 wounds. You compare that to any of the others and he's a good 2 or 3. I mean, Mercy's the only one that's even close to him. The rest are a good 5-6 points above him. But I'm supposed to be running him forward. But he's actually a really good combat unit. So do I run him forward and try and use him in combat and as a focus and not worry about losing him? Or do I say, well, look, I want to save him up for something important. Maybe I should keep him back.
Yeah. Yeah, it all depends, I guess, the other faction you're playing against and the scenario. I'm just thinking like, you've got the sisters use Nadrigil as the familiar. So if you've got this, there is a scenario there where there's portals or something spread around the table.
Yes.
So Nadrigil can hold one and get support from the other sisters, even though they're on the other.
They can be fire
a bit further away.
Yeah.
I think of that scenario, the portals you can cast it through the portal and it adds the distance. Or there's something like that because there is a range restriction.
It's line of sight and 8 inches.
8 inches, yeah. But I think with the portal, you measure to that portal and then it continues from the other portal.
Yeah, so you could be 4 inches from one portal and he could be 4 inches from the other portal and you could still use him as a focus.
Yeah, so that
that would be cool.
That's actually very cool.
Because then you can
is really good.
You can put Mercy within 4 inches of one and Dorothy within 4 inches of the other, and you can use them both through his to support him.
Yeah. It's interesting. We'll see how that goes. We're gonna have a look at all the scenarios.
We'd try all the scenarios, I reckon.
Put some videos up for that as well, I think. But
we'll have to play the first one again because we've only got your word for the fact that I won.
It's true.
He did.
He did win. I kid you not. And it was a big score actually. He did quite well.
People have been watching the BattleTech videos. They know how crap I am. I need confirmation here, people.
So so any sort of last points you want to sort of bring up about?
They're freaking awesome.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, like I say, go for a faction that you find to be cool or that strikes something with you. And these guys, I like all that nature stuff and the foresty type thing and all the snake gods and that sort of thing. It's really, and it's like, just really cool. Like I say, you pick one you like the look of, maybe you have a quick look at the cards and you go, yeah, that's kind of cool. And then you work around the different mechanics that faction has. And I kind of like it. These guys turned out really well.
They did, yeah. They look good. I enjoyed painting the models. They had a lot of character. All the factions do actually. I really like that.
Yeah, and you can do that when you have a small skirmish type game. You don't have to like uniform the miniatures. You don't have to have all your Space Marines all the same size and height and just have one arm up or one arm down sort of thing. You can have some real character behind the characters.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's funny, the Humbles, just sidetrack, the Humble Space Marine has certainly changed a lot there.
Oh, they're getting interesting now, aren't they? Yeah.
But being a skirmish game, like you don't have to spend a lot of time with it, just smash out a game and off you go. Yeah. But there's still like it's one of those things. It's the mechanics are simple and you learn the mechanics, but the strategy based on what
your
you've got
faction,
and how they work and
And also how they interact with the faction that you're playing against. That's another thing that comes up later on.
Yeah.
And it'll be different. It'll depend on how many people are playing, on what factions they are playing, on how many points you're playing, on what the scenario is. So, like I say, I go with one that I like the look of, and then I work around and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it works.
But
Okay.
awesome.
Well, there you go.
100%.
So that's the Wyldeborne. Thank you, Tarron.
Thank you, buddy.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right.
So I think we'll talk about mine in the next video.
Oh, do we have to?
No, we don't have to, but I mean, how's everyone going to know?
Good point.
Yeah. Good point. So coming up next, Path of Chronozon.
Let's do this.
Yes. All right. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.